You have to get rid of assumptions right now. And just, right, row your boat gently down the stream. Okay? So, but you liked the Morris Barney Lang video that I sent you because you like the idea of slowing down, right?
Yeah, until you actually get to feel. And
Right.
I realize that this definitely technique is all about feel. I really, even though the posture may be not correct all the time, but I feel I've got that feeling of in my right hand of that feel, you know. My left hand's probably better, like you said, posture-wise and correct and as far as form. And the more of the feel of that, oh wow, if I had that in my left hand, that would be incredible. My left hand just struggles to feel,
Well,
just it hurts my wrist.
that's cool. All right, and okay, right now, uh, before I turn on the camera, you were playing on your leg in the left. Why don't you show me what you were doing?
Well, I had here like this, trying to keep level.
Well, that's not what you were doing, but okay, but that's not what you were doing earlier. You weren't making a throw, you were just tapping, weren't you?
Now, it is more just like this.
Well, it's a lot better than what you were doing earlier. But
So, but the the left wrist is just I call it my nemesis.
well, that's cool. But right now, those are just words, right? Let's. You talked about the idea of feeling. Let's just get into feeling. Because the words they often don't do proper justice. Sometimes it's helpful to be thinking correctly about how to play. We have to marry the intellect with the actual tactile experience so that intellectually you know what it is you're asking your body to do, and your body is responding in kind, and there becomes a kind of wholeness to it, right? So that's what we're going for. Now, that's why I wanted to record you earlier, because I don't, again, see, I just think that the words, it's really important. You keep saying the correct words to yourself over and over, and you keep at it, and eventually you start to get in touch with what's actually happening. So, uh,
Yes.
and so,
Go ahead.
yeah, and so we were playing on your leg. I really wanted to turn on the camera at that time, but you duplicated to some extent.
It
But
feels more.
you,
It, I would say it feels more comfortable here than when I go over here.
okay,
So I feel more tension here.
okay. You're really into this tension, and if you have a physical problem, and you might, I asked you to see somebody about that,
Yeah,
but
I think that,
I don't, you might, so I have to be careful about what I say, but, but I'm out of sync for a second. We were okay for a minute, there it is. But yeah, you'll feel different things in your body. Uh, so, and in that case, why would you go to traditional? Because really the goal is to be happy. And if there's something wrong with your left hand in terms of whatever this is, but I don't believe it. I don't think you do either. But then again, I'm not an authority. I'm not a medical doctor. So I have to recognize that I don't have that knowledge and be careful about what I would say to you. It seems to me that you've had some moments of clarity in your left. And then while we're hanging out and talking, and you're doing this.
That's the shaking. Yeah. That's what happens with the shaking.
But wait, yeah, there it is. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, get it to shake. Yeah, do it like that for if that's what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, so you don't know what's wrong with that, do you? Even though I've told you. And maybe I have to have you, I write it down for you, and I know you read your lessons. See, that's, yeah. Why? I'm going to be a little tough with you, but, in a loving way. You know that, right? I'm not one of those teachers, Charlotte studied up with famous French horn teacher, and he was famous for making people cry. 6-foot guys were in tears by the end of the lesson. Charlotte didn't cry. And it's okay to cry, but that's kind of not my gig. Hey, you tell me what do you think's wrong here?
I
No,
wish
don't talk. Remember you said you were going to, you gotta quiet the mind and slow down. I'm still working on that every day. I sent you that Alan Watts, a guided meditation video. Awesome, right? If that doesn't slow you down, I don't know what will. Pardon me. And so, just watch. And you tell me, this is how you come in, and this is what I see you doing, whether you're thinking about it or not. Tell me what's wrong with that. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
it shouldn't be shaking.
No, you're missing it. You see, you're missing. Oh yeah, you do this. You do this. Your wrist is all kind of floppy. No,
Yeah.
no what? No, that's what you're doing. Stay with me here. Stay with me. Your wrist is kind of floppy. That's my impression. And then you take your arms and you do this. Wait, don't play. So for you, it's moving the arm and leaving the wrist kind of loosey floppy and holding on real tight, and you get this. Look at that. Does that look right to you? And you do it over and over and over and over, and the wrist ends up like, and the arm is doing this. What do you think is wrong with that? See, this is psychological. Here's where we need intellect, so you can guide yourself. Tell me what's wrong with that. And you don't know why it's shaking. Well, I do, and you don't, but I know. And you'll know it in a minute. We'll clarify it.
Holding the stick too tight.
What's that now?
Holding the stick too tight. The front.
Okay. That's necessary but not sufficient, but you're in the right realm. See, you don't quite know. And then you're right, it's doing it completely different. And you don't know, but it's not shaking. But you don't know. You haven't come to the realization that this whole thing is a wrist turn. You think, and that isn't molar. Well, a lot of guys play this way though. Most guys don't play with a wrist turn. Who cares? This isn't I don't care if you're not holding the stick, no stick at all. This is not, I know I'm getting dramatic. This is not a wrist turn. Does this with the wrist all floppy? And you don't know why it's shaking. That's what you're doing. Then you grab the stick real tight, but the wrist, somehow you keep the wrist floppy. And the wrist ends up pointed down, and you pump your arm, and your right just goes, I don't shake at all. Well, because it's approaching playing in a completely different way. It's not a bicep muscle, because this is bicep. As soon as you play, you're gonna excel when it comes to playing crescendo strokes, because that's when we do go into forearm and then upper arm, and then you can use your arms And even then, you have to recognize it. Okay. So, you have to stop doing this. This is not some other technique, maybe. Maybe. But it won't be Buddy Rich, it's all in the wrist. Or Richard Martinez, it's all a wrist turn. Because this is not, and you don't know it. And you don't feel it, and you don't intellectualize it. So from today on, right? This is not a wrist turn. I'll show you what, and if you want to practice, you do have to slow way. If you're going to practice, feels comfortable here, doesn't feel, I don't care where, it doesn't feel comfortable anywhere because I'm teaching you to play in another way. A way that I believe, it's what Buddy Rich endorsed. The idea that it's all a wrist turn, right? Okay. So, just, how do I do this? Okay, just take the stick out of your hand for a minute. Let's really get down to the true essence of what's going on. So no stick, hand in that position that you're familiar with. Now the arm, let it hang for a sec. Let's just get the arm. The arm is completely, it's inert. So if you feel nothing, you bring it up and you're here. Real simple, right? Good. You don't want to hold it out. Now it doesn't feel as inert as if you just let it hang. Mine is just hanging, but it's on my tummy, right? It's just hanging against my body. Okay. I don't need to hold it out right now. All right. Or you could, but it'd still be very relaxed. It's not going to get all freaky. Okay. All right. Now go ahead. Now this is a bicep muscle exercise. If you understand how a lever system works, it's force to resistance to a lever arm over a foot, right? So, and typically, we don't talk about the force in terms of the muscle that's providing the force. We talk about force as it's discussed within the context of an actual lever system. It's where the force is attached. So if you were describing a bridge, a drawbridge, the force would be where it's, I think they call it moment force. The force is actually where it attaches. That's how they talk about it. The whole thing is very mathematical, and it's not some kind of poetic interpretation. It's actually math. It's actually studied. It's recognized. They're building nanoprobes that are lever systems, I believe, parts of lever systems, to put into the body eventually. Okay, which Kurzweil talks about. Okay, so we're back here because I know I get tired and I'm yakking. Okay, so we're going to I'm showing you now, we're not going to use a wrister. We're going to take the bicep muscle. The fulcrum will be the elbow, the antecubical fossa. So the bicep muscle attaches somewhere to the forearm, right? That's how we would describe it. And so the bicep muscle muscles can only pull. So the bicep muscle over this fulcrum in the elbow is going to lift the forearm up. That's how you play. That's your thinking. And to come down, the muscles in the back of the arm, above the elbow, pull again. And they pull down. So go ahead, or you may have frozen. So, okay, so they're going to pull again and pull down. Yeah, these muscles. Okay, now these muscles are going to pull up. One's in front of the other. Don't go moving your wrist. Now I'm busty, but that's how you, so just go ahead and do this. That's how you play. Dick Wilson would call that, he'd call it a butcher. That's how they chop meat. If you ever go to watch a butcher chopping meat, got the cleaver, and they're chopping meat. That's how you're playing. Right? Okay? That's not what we do. It's going to take it's going to take an hysterical conversion on your part to get this approach to playing out of your body. See, that's muscle memory. Or it's, instead of doing this, because see, go ahead and rotate in traditional. Yeah, I see. You're not going like this necessarily. I don't think you did. You probably were doing a lot of this. Not a lot of arm. Yeah, see, okay, good. See, that's what you won't do in matched. Your right has a better idea. So maybe you're correct. Maybe your right is better because it doesn't have this thinking. For whatever reason, your left thinks that it's a bicep muscle. Butcher playing the drums. Now you can play that way. I don't know how efficient it is. It'll limit what you can do. Now, meditate on that for a second. Okay, now I'm going to show you the difference. It's the whole thing. I'm holding the stick too tight, not thinking about the most important thing. This is the sufficient aspect of what it means to play with this technique. It's real simple. It's just all in the wrist. So now we're going to hold our arm back in that position. Now, muscles can only pull. So now we're going to use different muscles, entirely different set of muscles. So you're never going to come in using these muscles again with a floppy wrist doing this with the wrist, thinking, oh, my wrist is turning because it's all floppy. No. These muscles are doing nothing, and your wrist is just flopping around, and then it starts to shake. You're trying to hold this thing that's out of control. Now, instead of focusing on the bicep muscles, activating, pulling up, and then pulling down, little guy pulls up here, and then there's a rope that comes down, and the guy pulls, and it goes down. Now we've got a new way of thinking. It's the muscles in front of the elbow. These muscles, up top and up bottom. And if muscles can only pull, they'll pull the wrist, and now the fulcrum isn't the elbow. See here, the fulcrum is the elbow. Now the fulcrum is moved, 6, 7, 8 inches, depending how big you are. This is a really huge change for you. We're talking about a big chunk of your arm not behaving in a way that's similar to the right, and not behaving in a way that is going to lend itself to playing that thing. So now we're going to move the mind all the way up to here. This is it. This is inert. Now the muscles, while this hangs, see, as soon as you remember, I keep busting you, don't poke your elbow out. That's see, because now you're, what are you going to do? Make it not just, now it becomes, the fulcrum is the shoulder, and now you're moving even a longer part of your arm. That's crescendo strokes. That's the end of the technique. We're not anywhere. First, you learn how to turn your wrist. The whole thing is a wrist turn. But, okay, so we've moved the mind's eye to the wrist. The muscles in front of the elbow are going to pull and lift up the wrist. Go ahead, pull. See how relaxed your arm is? Yeah, it's perfect. It's there. Yeah. And then the muscles underneath are going to pull, and it would go down. It could go all the way down. Just like this arm could come all the way, if you were to use the bicep muscle and not play like Buddy Rich, do the opposite of what he suggests. If you're going to say, heck with you, buddy, I'm going to do it my way, which is cool. You could lift all the way up to here, and how far would it would only go down to there. It would unravel. It has that much movement. The wrist has this much movement. Pulling, muscles in front of the elbow, muscles in front of the elbow underneath, pull down, and you get all that range. That's what it is. So you come in, and I see you doing this, and I'm thinking, what is Steve thinking? There. That's all it is. That's it. If you don't believe it, it's not, I don't think it'll stop shaking. No, there's no shaking. You see you're in control of everything now. There's no floppy wrist, trying to figure out how tight to hold the stick. It's that. That's it. Now the magic, once, how these guys figured this stuff out, how Murray put this together, he realized, and Murray did tell me this, he said, if you use your arm, then the fingers won't react. They'll just remain in whatever position you put them in, because it's coming from the arm. So go ahead and do that. I'll take my time with this. I'm not gonna, so we're back to this thing where, no, now I can't, now we're gonna go back to the butcher chopping meat. Yeah, come on, chop. No, come on, there's no wrist, you gotta hold the cleaver. No, I can't get you to do it. No, don't move your wrist. It's arm. Yes, there, it stays stiff and straight. And notice the fingers don't open. Going up and down, it's working perfectly. It's gonna be, you're gonna kill it when we go to crescendo strokes, because that's what you're, more of that, okay? There is some flexibility here, but we're not gonna get there. And now you got that, okay? Fingers don't react to that. Now we're going to move the fulcrum to the wrist. That means the muscles in front of the elbow are gonna be pulling up and pulling down. Now, go ahead and hold your fingers tight and do that. The fingers still don't do anything. Only now I can't get you to hold your fingers. This isn't quite what we do. But Murray noticed that if your hand is relaxed, the fingers open up. If you do it using these muscles over a wrist fulcrum, and they close and they open. That's what he noticed. So he said, hey, I'll show this to Louis Belson, right? And Dick Wilson. And that's a totally different way of playing. So what you get by moving the fulcrum to the wrist is you get, first of all, the efficiency of not having to move all this weight. This is a lot of work, it seems to me. This is not as much work. And then you get the benefit of the fingers reacting to the wrist. See? And I've been trying to get you to do that because that's your upstroke. Okay? Now, if you're just holding a stick, you're not going to feel much of that at all. So it gets a little tricky here. But if you're just going to just turn your wrist for one note, nothing's changed, but you're not going to feel this routine. This is the squeeze and release that Murray talks about there, so, right? So you're now just hold your hand closed in a comfortable, normal way. Don't be overly tight, just normal, and don't let it open or close. Just kind of keep it in one position and go up and down. Up and to stop at the floor like that. It's got to be these muscles, and it's just still the wrist. See how strong and secure that is? There's no flopping around, moving all this part of your body, wondering, gosh, why won't, it's that. That's what a wrist turn feels like. Now, you got it. Now when we go to play an upstroke, now we go to that other brilliant awareness that Murray must have had, where if we just let the fingers go, we get two things. We get the fingers opening, it was perfect, and we went up a little bit. So now, and he said, see, it's like you've released. We called it a release. He says, and then if you go to do that regular thing, don't do it yet, where you're not letting your fingers open and close. If you just go to move like this, from this position, the forearm starts to fall and the hand closes. And you get back down to the floor. Try it, just turn up. Yeah, forearms goes down a little and you finish your turn. Boom. That's it. That's the entirety of the technique. Yeah, see, but you have to be relaxed enough so that, because you got this where you're not really letting the fingers open and close, really. You're just letting them open. So you do let them open. Wrist gets this little ridge in it, tiny, so you've released. And now you're turning up to the ceiling and making a blow. like that. Yeah, the essence of it. And there's no shaking because the wrist is in control of everything. There's no loosey-goose. Oh, so sure, you do want to learn the grip, and then there's the grip. And that's it. That's it. So, now we're going to put a stick in the hand. Go ahead and place. Now you got the idea. See, you're using the Spivack. You got that. See, that's the wrist turn. See, you've actually turned your wrist. You didn't push your arm down to get it. So you see, you do have that. No, wait, just wait. Go slow with me. Yeah, you're just holding this stick. And it's that thing you were doing where you're just going to hold it and not feel the squeeze and release. Just turn up and down using the muscles in front of the elbow. You don't have to rush going up, and it's very, very smooth. Nice, and that's it. You don't let go of the stick. You don't do anything extraordinary. You just hold it. That's it. There, you got that. Then there's the thing that we worked on last week, where you just, now you're going to feel the genius of Spivack in that experience, the genius, in that we know, you proved it. You said, oh, if I really turn my wrist and don't pump my arm from my bicep, I don't use the butcher chopping meat method, and I turn my wrist, it seems a little more wimpy or something. I can see why guys want to, that's how they play. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to use mechanical advantage, pretty hip. So what we're going to do is, with the stick in our hand, now we're going to experience what you felt. And we're just going to lower the stick onto the surface. And the stick goes down flat. Marie noticed, oh, and the stick goes down flat. There. Have you gone up a little bit? I think so. Don't be afraid to bend a little bit, just to get that stick, right? So now you've done this thing. And just take the stick out of your hand for a second. Okay, so it's just in a normal, like it was when you just came up when we were thinking about stuff. Just flat, remember that fist? It's not a fist. And okay, so we get, wait, hold on. We just get this, and the hand opens. The fingers open, relax, there, and you've gone up. Okay, so now we're going to do that here with the stick. Murray would say, it's just a puny stick. We don't need to lift weights to hold this little thing, right? So, but you have to be above the surface so that there's room to go. And then we just lower the stick and let the hand open. Come on. Murray would call it pronating. Pronate. See, you're kind of open. Yeah, you're open, nice and open now. You got it. Now, if you didn't make a throw and you just came back, you'd lose the pronation, just like you would here. It would just come back, like the way you feed your hand. See, now you're feeling it. Your wrist is in control and very relaxed. But now there's no floppy arm motivated, inefficient thinking. Right. See how nice and relaxed everything is? You sit around thinking about that. So we're going to lower the stick.
How do I, at that point, my fingers are open at that point?
Very good question. Yes, they are. Because you did the Murray thing where he realized that if you use your forearm, like the butcher chopping meat, the wrist never does any of this. You'll never get the fingers to move. So, but if you keep it in the wrist, the fingers will open. They will. Just like that. And you went up. Okay? So don't stay there. Just stay there for a minute. Because you asked me, are the fingers open? Yes, they are. Did you throw them open? If you were teaching a kid, you might not even tell them. You just say, that's it. They go, oh, okay. Now, is the butt end on the palm?
Away from the palm.
It's away from the palm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that's a really big deal because, and you had to ask me, am I open? Are you, you wouldn't even know it. Look, what do you feel here? all the fulcrums are reacting to the wrist, moving the hand over the wrist fulcrum, and everything's happening. You wouldn't even know it's happening. You've been doing this your whole life. So do you know, can you feel that? Yeah, you really have to focus on it to feel it. But so how do you prove that you've released or opened? Go ahead, touch, lower the stick, get the Murray thing. I'll tell you. Butt ends away from the palm. That's actual proof. So you know it's right. Now what you would do, you're up, you're pronated. Right? And now I'll give you this as well. I think. See, when you turn back up, the fingers closed, you wouldn't feel them. How do you prove to yourself that you've closed? Because you don't feel much. That's what's tricky about this technique. How do you prove that you've closed?
The stick is back up to the palm.
Actual proof. Now here's the other thing I want you to study. Lower it. It feels like, to me, because we have a 3-finger grip, back fingers are barely on the stick. They're kind of off for me. You know, I just learned to do that after years. But this is the part you want to think about. All that other stuff will start to take care of itself. And so I know I'm open. I know I've released because I'm off the palm. And to lift it back up, I know I'm just going to turn my wrist. What seems to be leading it up primarily? And I'm not going to get tight there to prove it. I'm just going to notice it. Go ahead, turn up. What brings it up? We know the wrist. The actual answer is the wrist. But what do you feel in your hand? What seems to be leading the charge here? Lay it down. Kind of feels like the wrist is, the middle finger is leading the charge here. Maybe, right? We're just trying to figure out what Murray noticed. We're just noticing stuff. So go ahead, let the middle finger lead the charge on the way down. You're released, it's away from, butt ends away from the palm. Now, what do you think is leading the charge on the way up?
Well, to me, your wrist starts leading it.
Well, we know the wrist is doing everything. I'm asking about the assembly in the hand. If the middle finger is leading the charge on the way down.
I think my fingers start to close and it comes up.
What's really leading? That's fair, but here's what I start to feel. Because it's this little 3-finger thingamajiggy machine. You have the fulcrum, lumbar and palm down. Then you have first finger and thumb, they're the guide. And I told you, Carlos used to talk about maybe the fulcrum somewhere in the middle of all those 3 fingers. So you have this machine that is a device with a fulcrum and a guide. So maybe the fulcrum, which is the middle finger, leads on the way down. And then to come back up, maybe the other part of the machine, the guide, first finger and thumb, not by doing anything, you're just noticing, would lead on the way up. So you have that thinking where one thing is leading on the way down and another thing is leading on the way up, but that's all that's happening. But you're right, it's just the rest. We're just noticing what the heck is happening here, right? That's a brilliant teacher. That's Spivack. That's Wilson, Martinez, Virgo, Wackerman.
I was just reading about him.
What's that now?
I was just reading about him.
Don't get away from me, because as soon as I mentioned first finger and thumb, you started doing that thing with your thumb. I knew I shouldn't have mentioned it. See, you're just noticing by don't do anything, and you just notice. You send your mind's eye to there on the way up. And it seems to be leading the charge on the back on the way up. Maybe. So now, what I start to notice is that there is, and we'll get into this as we go, but so if you lowered it, middle finger's kind of that, it doesn't even matter. And then, but there is, the way it closes, that lifting, this feeling of lifting, don't go doing anything, this hasn't got any tighter. It's just there, it's nothing, I'm just lowering it and raising it. and noticing, right? And see how it feels like when you raise it back up? There's a quality to it. There's a speed to it. It seems to mirror or mimic perhaps the speed on the way down. So that's what it feels like for me to turn up. I follow that kind of thinking on the way. So to make a throw, I bend. Instead of just coming back up like I'm feeding the hand, I bend, and now I'm gonna go up and make that throw, and now it's gonna feel like first finger and thumb of the guide are kind of leading it up, just like what if I wasn't making the throw? Yeah, there you go. That was good. Now go on, turn up like you did. There, you finish it. Why are you on the surface? That was very good. See, that's just a wait. Now you start to freak out. I thought you were just above the surface with a normal grip. The way to get the grip is to feel that Spivack thing where if you use your wrist and don't pump your arm, the fingers will react. And but you have to be a half an inch above the surface. There. You don't pinch your thumb like that. That's not what a hand would do. We're just thinking about the wrist doing everything. We're not doing something contorted or clever with the hand. Have you released? No, wait. Where are you going right now? You're just here. We're just bringing everything back. Come on, you're not. You're not at the floor. It has to be a half inch, but you don't have to point your baby finger out. We're just thinking about the wrist, right? And we're thinking about Murray's teachings that when you bend your wrist, if you use your wrist, the fingers will open and go ahead and release. And the butt end will, for as long as you live. If you do that, the butt end comes away from the palm, you'll know you're released. Now, just follow that up a little more with your wrist. And now cock your wrist as though you're feeding yourself the stick and come down nice and easy. There, and you stopped it parallel. You didn't need to rush the coming down quite so much, but it was essentially perfect. That's it.
When you say, so when I say I'm here, I'm coming up just through the throat, and I bring it up, I have to cock my wrist up a little bit before to make that throw.
Well, I'm just trying to get you in touch with certain feelings, right? That's the feeling that you know about where you feed your hand, right? And now you understand that comes from Murray teaching you that if you don't play like a butcher chopping meat and you use your wrist, that the fingers will do that, and then that'll kind of give you your grip, right? Because that's what Murray's talking about. See? So you have a grip, and the feeling of feeding your stick, the way the hand turns up, and the fact that I said maybe the first finger and thumb are leading on the way up, that feels like that's how you would turn your wrist up to the ceiling. To make a throw, we have to do a little bend first. Now we start it up because it starts the bend. Now first you have to release. And you touch. And the butt end comes away from the palm, right? And now you're just gonna bend a little more. Beautiful. Now you're gonna, that feeling of when you lifted and the middle and the first finger thumb led, you're just gonna turn up and not rush. Don't rush on the way down. Slow, easy, slow. No, why'd you kind of rush? Pretty good. Watch. Okay, let's do it again. Release. No, don't go lifting your arm yet. First, you have to get the Murray Spivack thing. You have to start above the surface every time. You're not. You're touching the surface. There. Now you're going to release, or do the Murray thing. Started to kind of go up, didn't it? Now just follow that up a little more. Good. Now that feeling of the first finger and thumb leading, you're going to lift smoothly. Forearms coming down beautifully. Now go down in slow motion. Slow, slow. Touch. Just touch. Don't let go when you touch, and come back. There. That's what it feels like. Yeah, dude. So you need to go through that kata every day. Not this thing where you come in and we're talking and you're going, see, what does that have to do with You got no control. Now go down smoothly. Boom. Don't poke your elbow out at the end. Just leave it. But there. The only time it might move is when you release. That's the other thing Murray noticed. That when you release and your fingers open, because you bend, not like a butcher chopping meat, okay? It's just loosened up the elbow. Now go on up a little more. A little more. Yeah, maybe the elbow has moved a little, maybe. Now you start to cock up the ceiling. With the first finger and thumb kind of leading the charge, and you finish it. You come back down. Smooth. Boom. Yeah. For me, nothing happens. I get to the surface, nothing's changed. I touch. I don't change anything down there. Right now, I'm just teaching you to just touch and just come to the floor. Like that. Now do that on your other hand. That's it. Okay, what are you going to start with? You're going to start with the proving to yourself that that Murray's right, and if you don't chop meat like a butcher, which there's nothing wrong, you know. It's not whether it's organic, it's the chef cooking the darn stuff. That's the trick. Okay, you've released, butt ends come away. Started to go up. Follow that up a little more. Beautiful. Now the first finger and thumb are going to kind of lead. Forearms gone down. Now just smoothly. Don't let go when you touch. Just touch holding just like that. Touch. Lift it up to half an inch above. That's all I want you to do. That's it. So when you come in, there's only two things you could be doing while we're talking. You could do that thing where we recognize, Murray explained, that if you lead with if it's the wrist and you're not using the bicep muscle and eliminating the feeling of the fingers reacting to the wrist, if you really use the wrist full, that the fingers will open and close. But if I were you, while we were talking, I wouldn't be testing the system like this anymore, ever again. There's two ways you can test it. If I'm just sitting around, and here's what Dick would do, as long as I knew him. You could do it on your leg too, where you just release and prove that Murray's right. If you don't use the bicep muscle, the fingers do that. Yeah, you kind of went down parallel, and then I lifted up. That's it. Dick would do that all day long while I was studying. And then lift it up. Lift it up. First finger and thumb might be heading the charge on the way back up, and you lower it. Middle finger opens. Don't go lifting your arm. It's all pure wrist right now. And then we lift it up. That's what I would be. That's what I'd be doing. What Dick Wilson did when he was 73 years old. He was still doing this. He'd sit there and he'd be doing this all the time. All the time, forever. That's what we do there, and lift it up. You don't have to do anything with your fingers, remember? You'll just notice what seems to be leading. You could reverse it. You could say, first finger and thumb are leading on the way down, and the middle finger leads on the way up. There seems to be some kind of back and forth. I feel more like it's first finger and thumb on the way up. It's really good, see? There's no shaking. It's quite frankly, it's like gorgeous. Really beautiful. You could just put that up on the internet and say, you know, you'd actually be teaching something real. Right? Yeah, that's what that is. And you have a throw in both hands. Okay. Now we're going to take it a step further. Just a little bit further. I don't want to cloud your mind with too much, or only defeat what it is you just received. You know, I'll end up undermining your development or your level of awareness. Okay, so this never goes away. This is all it is. But I'll tell you what it isn't. It's not this. It just is. Yeah, you say you're doing me right. I just got you. Oh. So we're doing that Chad Wackerman, right? And we're lifting the stick up. Again, I kind of feel like the first finger and thumb, they're kind of leading it up. It's just laying in my hand very comfortably, right? Nothing's really happening. I'm not feeling anything right now other than just lifting the stick up, thinking in the way that I described. But I'm up here somewhere, a little bit high, just a little higher than you. Somewhere in there. See, your arm's nice and relaxed. And then what I'm going to do is turn and let it dribble. And stop. Don't move. Is the butt end away from the palm?
Yes.
Look how nice and flat you are. Now, did you know you released? See, this is why you have to be careful what you tell somebody. But you're clearly, it's just like when you went like this and released. You're in that position, aren't you?
Yes.
And now Chad Wackerman would talk about the fact that as you turn up, back up to your original position, the butt end touches the palm again. Kind of just like what we just went through. We were down here doing it. Now we've made multiple notes and notice that everything applies. We're not making a throw, but we could do that thing that you've got now. We could, but we're not. They're very available though. So we're just on the surface and we're open. And then the first finger and thumb, as far as perhaps, are leading the charge back up. There. And we do it again. There. Here you go. Now, are you open? You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't tell a kid. You just say that's correct. It's caught up their mind with stuff they got it. Us adults, I guess we need to know. And then we lift it back up. 6 inches, not too high. I don't want you to be too far away because it gets a little scary up here, right? We gotta hit the target. Now, if we've got the feeling of the dribbling, that really gives us a moment to analyze. We notice that, oh, the stick's away from the palm, I released. And then we lift it up, and now we ask for 4. We're gonna have to lift it up right after 4. Look at you! Lift it up. Yeah, 3. I'm going through my own check. There it is. 1, 2, 3. Lift it up. 1, 2, 3. Think of the first finger and thumb, lifting it right back up. Like a string or something pulling it, I don't know. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. I've got to go through my own check. What I'm thinking of right now is, hey, when I'm playing 2, I want 2. Oh yeah, right when I land, I can feel the stick. I can feel the butt end away from the palm. And then I turn back up. Back fingers are very relaxed. There. There's no pressure. I'm controlling the rebound. I'm not squeezing, I'm not doing anything. I time the Spivack wrist turn thing where the fingers react. Yeah. Now remember, if the first finger, don't let go of your first finger and thumb. It won't help you. You just keep them normal. It really will, because they're gonna bring the stick back up. All right, dude, say you got it. Can you do that in your other hand? I'm asking myself the same question. Because this hand is, I have to concentrate. And then while I'm busy concentrating on this hand suffers in the grip that it's most comfortable. So I'm going through this stuff with you, right? Okay, so we have that normal grip. We know it's not this, crying out loud. Until we get to the end of the technique, and you're gonna be like a god, a crescendo stroke god, right? But that's not what we're doing. Okay, so So let's just release and just notice everything, right? See, there's, holding your arm out a little bit. What's this all about? What will that, see? That's some part of you, see, now your left's better again. That some part of you, it's not just this, some part of you wants to move this whole unit too. We don't. It's the genius of this technique. It's wrist. Only wrist. Yeah. Now weight it up at the floor. Okay. Relax your baby finger. It doesn't need to be, it's fine. You keep it off. But it's not that big a deal because we're really just thinking about these more primal aspects. Right? Essentially are kind of primal. So relax the arm. So we're just going to lower it and see what happens. Oh, Murray's right. Yeah, the fingers, if you don't pump your bicep like a butcher chopping meat, the fingers do kind of open. Oh, it feels like I've released. And look, my wrist has kind of gone up. It's given me the feeling that maybe I could do that. Not bad. Get down nice and flat. Your wrist is a little bent like you already released. There, now you know the difference. So now you can release. Now follow that up just a little. Follow it up. Turn up, slow motion like the other hand. Slow, slow. First finger, no, you just move slowly. Slow, slow. First finger. Oh, you're going up like Dick Wilson. No, that was really cool. You want to go? You want to go up like Dick Wilson? You want to move like, not move like Jagger, move like Wilson? Well, if you're going to go up that high, then, see, because he introduced, that's the gooseneck. And he introduced that because for playing got a lot louder. So if you're going to go up that high, Steve, and that's not wrong. So you got all the parts you released. You follow. Now, Murray would only go to about here. Dick would follow it up more. If you're going to go up that high, you really have to turn up high. The whole thing is bigger. No, you're just down here with a wimpy little turn here. You're going to come all the way up to here, turn that wrist up to the sky. No, now the forearm is going to come up. It's a big throw. Let the forearm, come on, turn up. Ah, now come down. That's what it feels like to me. So you get, here, I'll show you, you get what would be, you'd get, let's see, you'd get Murray, don't play. See, I'm not doing the gooseneck, and I've come up to about here. But if I go, no play, if I come up like Dick, the whole circle is much bigger. But the whole thing still moves the same way, notice? But this circle, it becomes like a monster truck tire. It's a bigger circle. See, the whole thing is circles, really. Okay, so, but right now, let's just stay Murray. Because that's what your left has got. And once you get Murray, you get Dick. Dick is nothing. So you're going to release. Now go up a little more like Murray. And now you're going to turn up and the forearm is going to come down. You're correct. Slowly turn to the surface. Don't let go when you get to the surface. Just hold it there and lift up a half an inch. You don't have to, yeah, you got it. That's what your left hand did. That's correct. Now, can you do this, the Wackerman thing? So you're looking good today. Okay, so now the Wackerman thing is, I do it like this, in traditional. And my hand does do something. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'll stay in this grip. So, I'm just letting it dribble. You couldn't do that last week in either hand. It's bouncing just fine. Look. Are you released? Is the butt end away from the palm?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't know you did it. And then you're going to let the first finger and thumb perhaps lead on the way up. There. You're going to come back down again. Don't do anything with your arm. Okay. Now we're going to see if I can do it. 4. There it is. I got a good one. Look at you. 1, 2, 3. Man. 1, 2. Dude, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You start to get doubles that sound reasonably, and there's the throw. Murray throw. Nice and slow, we're not rushing. It's just doing what I told you about. How about Dick Wilson throw? See? Dude, you can play. It's a miracle. Come on, don't start going real fast. I had to think about it. First, I just dribbled. I had to start out for my left. Wasn't doing that to teach you. I was doing that to teach me. Don't be, and I've been doing this long. No, you're gonna let it dribble. See, you've already lost it. What are you doing right now? Where does your mind go, Steve? Dick would say, Kevin, where's your mind? Where did it just go? Kevin, where does your mind just go? There. Now stop. What are you doing? You have to go through the process. Stop. Stop. Is the butt end on the palm? Good. See, you're just determined to prove that this isn't right. It's like you want to feel the shake. It is appealing to you in some way. You haven't given it up completely. And you won't take the time to go through the process. This is how you get it. Good. It's just like when you released from down here, but now you've dribbled. Now lift the stick back up. What led on the way up? Stop. Why'd you stop? Okay, stay there. What led on the way up?
Raising my hand up. Raising my
We
wrist.
already know, yes, we know it's the wrist. That's a given now. You're too school for cool at this point. You know that. It's first finger and thumb, the guide.
Right.
Yeah, come on. So you see, you lost how you got rid of the shaking. So go ahead and dribble. Stop. Are you released? How do you tell if you're released?
Take it away from the palm.
Good. Now you're going to turn back up to the Chad 6 inches. And what's going to lead?
The fingers.
Which fingers?
My thumb and first finger.
The guide, first finger, thumb. Beautiful. Do it again. There, see your back. You just don't keep doing it over until you've got to put it into your body. You're at the very beginning of this, man. Just relax. Now think about what's going to lead it up. What's going to lead it up?
First finger and thumb.
There you go. Let it dribble again. Here's a good one. Are you released? Yes.
Okay.
Come on up. First finger and thumb. Lead the charge. 4 notes. And lift it back up like that. And lift it up. 3 notes. 3 notes. Lift it up right after the third. Very good. 3 notes. There, 2 notes. You don't have to let go. You release, but you don't let go to release. It's just that feeling that you had when you dribbled. There, and you lift it up. Now go back to dribbling to get the feeling of what it feels like down there. You don't have to point your finger in. That's what it feels like. Come back up. Feel what the hand feels like when you get to the surface and you're released. But don't release. Just notice it. Come on, dribble. That's what it feels like. You didn't throw your fingers open at all. Lead the charge with the first finger and thumb. Give me 2. Don't open your fingers, and lift it up. That's gorgeous. That's what it is. You're just going to have to run that systems check every time. You're going to have to go through that course of action. And yeah, you have to be patient. But it was beautiful, really a beautiful thing to watch too. So it's kind of like, it's proving there is a God. Who would have created this gorgeous mechanism? Who could do that? I don't know. some higher power perhaps. But it really is, it's a little mysterious, but it is quite beautiful. And with that,